Games, Brains, A Head-Banging Life here. We are doing a why you should or why you shouldn't, basically. It's why you should not or why you should episode. It's episode number 3. Go check out the other 2 first. And we're covering something in the game market. You can tell.
We're covering why you shouldn't be a fan of exclusive games or content in video games.
This is such a controversial
subject. Alright, I'll just start off and say that plain and simple, I just think exclusive anything in video games is anti-consumer.
Yep.
I think it isn't a good thing for you or me at all. It only exists in an attempt to get you to buy things that you otherwise don't need, basically, or that you should have access to. It's to hinder you so that you have to go and buy something else and spend more money. Often,
in this case, it's buying a fucking different console.
An entire console, which is not cheap. You know, you shouldn't have to buy a PS4 to play games like The Last of Us, and you shouldn't have to buy an Xbox One to play Halo.
Yep.
It should just be a simple system where you can just play everything. Can you imagine that?
What do you make of what do you make of then the argument I guess against that is when it's the developer of the console? So you said Halo, but that's Microsoft Studios.
Yeah.
Do they not have the right to sort of do that then?
Well, of course they've spent money to create these games, but they want to keep them exclusive. I guess you can't argue with that.
I guess the better one is against third-party ones and the deals that are made where something's right. I'm going to say it straight. You're going to use a modern game that came out recently. Crash Insane Trilogy was a timed exclusive for PlayStation. Xbox didn't get it for, I think, 9 months, maybe 9 months later. What kind of fucking insanity is that? How is that beneficial for anyone? Anyone. I'm not buying a PS4 for a remade version of Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. I just think all exclusive games and content does really is create competition between people.
Yeah.
And it attempts to it creates that whole fanboy type thing.
Playground stuff.
Yeah, it's playground stuff, and it tries to make a certain groups feel superior to others. Maybe being like, oh, I have this game, my console's better than you, or like, I'm a Sony fan, so I'm better than you because we have these games, kind of thing. And it's just a way of like belittling other people in a way. It kind of creates that whole thing of like superiority between one group to the other. It's
interesting. I do like the way you put it. It's almost poisonous to the fan base, and maybe people enjoyed it. But I also think it's almost like this. This is what it is nowadays. It's the bit wars. Back in the day, all we used to do was bits. Oh, you be in a playground. Well, I've got 32-bit. Well, I've got the Nintendo 64. That's 64-bit. Yeah. Dreamcast is 128-bit. Who remembers bits? What the fuck were bits? Why are we talking about bits? The bit wars. But now it's the exclusive wars. Yeah. You know? And where
it all started because I think didn't Sega once do an advert where they said like Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Don't. Yeah, that's right.
It literally that's what started the whole console wars, man.
Yeah.
From that.
It was. Yeah. Was that the Mega Drive against the NES? Maybe 16 against 8-bit. It might have been that. Yeah. I remember things like the 32X. It had it in the fucking name, 32-bit, 32X, and crap like that. But yeah, so it's become exclusive. But here's the weird thing as well. This fanboyism only exists between two. No one gets, and I guess it's just because it's Nintendo, no one gets in Nintendo's face about its exclusive titles.
No, they don't know.
But it's only ever between Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah, because Nintendo's is seen as like the lesser of the three, I guess, and you've got these two major powerhouses going on, and I think people give Nintendo a sort of pass because it's seen of like more of an accompaniment to like these bigger consoles almost. But I recently someone recently had to argue with me about it a little bit.
Okay.
This whole argument. So I got some like counter arguments for it, and they said they thought it created positive competition between like the systems basically.
Yeah.
And that without them we'd get less creative games because if they were not exclusives, because like exclusive games like on Sony's consoles especially seem to be some of the bigger titles have some more creativity and stuff like that, so maybe you get less creativity. But the reason why I disagree with that is because 99% of games are multi-platform. Like most games are not actually exclusive, so I don't see how it would affect the quality on most games. The vast majority that you play are actually multi-platform anyway.
I would massively disagree with the creativity part. What's creative about Halo fucking which one, 6? The next Halo game? What's creative about that?
True. Well, maybe more on the Sony side then.
What's creative about... I'm not knocking the game. I haven't played it, so I can't. But what's creative about another God of War game?
True.
This isn't creative.
They're like readily established franchises that you can put out a new Halo. It's going to sell no matter what, no matter how creative. Because Halo 5 wasn't like that amazing, was it?
I don't think it was received that well.
I think it maybe got like 6s and 7s out of 10 across the board. So. But yeah, that's just an argument someone had that they thought created positive competition. Yeah, and at the same time, whether we like them or not, exclusives do seem like a big deal to people. They do seem important, whether we like them or not.
But that ties down to your playground battles. Why isn't exclusive a big deal to you? Why does it matter to you? It shouldn't. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to have it if we're going to have separate consoles. We're never going to have one system that plays them all, because how are that going to work? But we are seeing more cross-platform than ever before, particularly in certain games, talking like Fortnite and things like that.
It's just like an exclusive game is a selling point for most people. I think probably most people, I would say. Look at what exclusive games a console has. That's the big argument people use against Microsoft, is Sony has all these exclusive games. Where's your exclusives, Microsoft? But my argument always with that is yes, obviously Sony has better exclusives. No one can argue with that fact. But Microsoft obviously has their own little line of exclusives, and some of them are pretty decent. Things like Ori and the Blind Forest, Cuphead, Sunset Overdrive. There's quite a number of them.
Yeah.
Obviously they're on PC as well, but that's basically Microsoft. I don't know if people use that as an argument, but Microsoft basically are PC. They're such a selling point to people that people will choose a console one over the other because of it, and they use it as an argument of one being better than the other. But the reason why I don't agree with that is that, like I said, 99% of the games that you play are multi-platform. That's just a fact.
See, my argument will always stand is I don't 100% agree with you on the fact there should be no exclusives, because ultimately if you like Sony creates a game or puts the money in it, it's got to be exclusive. It's when a game isn't specific, like, all right, so this actually ties a little bit into PC, and I'm not too up in this. I'm going to work the best I can through this, but Epic Store, what Epic Store is trying to do at the moment, which is buy exclusives of games that aren't anything to do with them. They're just paying money and going, that's now ours. You want it, you've got to come to us. That's some bullshit level. And a game like, say, Shenmue 3.
Of course, that's a shitty one. Yeah.
That is some fucked up shit. That was a Kickstarter. That was crowdfunding. And suddenly now it's like, well, if you want to play that on PC, you got to go to Epic Store. That's some bullshit. Seeing a major release that needs to earn its money back. Well, let's say Capcom, when they released Resident Evil 2 Remake, they didn't make that shit exclusive. They wanted to make sure everybody could get hold of it. Why is Final Fantasy VII going to be?
Well, I'm going to move on to that now.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say that something I hate more than pure exclusives, because there is an argument to, like you said, if someone like Sony or with Halo, if Microsoft are putting their own money into it, there's an argument. Of course, there's an argument for like, okay, that should stay exclusive, but it's still anti-consumer. It'd still be better for you and me if it was just available to everybody.
Of course.
Even like we shouldn't care if like this billionaire company is putting some money into it. It's still not positive for you and me. We shouldn't support it because it's not good for you and me.
Yeah.
But what I hate more than pure exclusives is time exclusive, and you kind of touched on it with the Crash thing. This is when someone like Microsoft has purposely paid money to developer to stop a large chunk of gamers from being able to play something that would otherwise be available to everyone. Yeah. Or Sony did this exact same thing with Crash, but it seems to me especially that Sony is a bit more exempt from criticism when they did.
Seems to be, yeah.
Like when Microsoft did it with Rise of the Tomb Raider, they had that 1-year exclusive deal. Got so much shit for that, but then when they did it with Crash, because Crash is seen as like Sony's baby and stuff, people didn't think that should even be on a Microsoft console. Of course. Yep. Because that's
even though there were later Crash games that were on the Xbox.
Exactly. People had the same argument with Spyro when that was announced for Microsoft consoles, and people were like, well, that's like a mascot of Sony, that can't be on, even though they had all those games beforehand. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII, of course, is a big contentious one right now, because there's a lot of talk around it about how it's not coming to, basically it's most likely coming to Xbox, most likely, because basically every single Final Fantasy game, including the original Final Fantasy VII, is now available on the recent Final Fantasy 15.
Yep.
They released basically every Final Fantasy game, I think, apart from maybe 16, which is the online one.
Okay, and the early ones, yeah.
Well, pretty much all the earlier ones now are available, but anyway, Square are basically saying, like, in their, they've been asked recently for a comment, and they are saying that they're not looking at other platforms at this time. That's what they're saying.
Right.
That they're only focusing on the PlayStation. They're not looking at anything else. But they've not used the word exclusive. Like, for some reason they're dodging using the word, saying this is an exclusive Sony game.
I guess it almost ties them down then, doesn't it?
But this just screams of Sony having told them to keep quiet, or having paid them money to be like, you know what, we want to make it seem like this is an exclusive, even if it isn't. Even if it's going to come to Xbox a year later, we're going to pay this money. Just keep quiet. Just say, oh, you're focusing only on us. But we can't use the word exclusive, Sony. Okay, we'll just say this or that or the other.
Yeah.
They want to make it seem like it's only coming to them. But we all know it probably will inevitably come to.
I would be very surprised if it doesn't.
Well, it's this big budget game, and unless Sony is personally investing money into it, which I don't think that's been
to pay off the lack of sales they will
really
get.
Make any sense, because since when they give money to Square Enix to pay for games? That's not really a thing, is it?
No, and the lack of sale, the loss of sales from not being able to sell it on Windows, PC, Steam, whatever, Xbox, and even if it ends up on the Switch, is Sony providing you with that money? Then that's the only way that's got to be worthwhile.
It's just the way that they're wording their interviews and their comments. It just screams, "You've been paid off here."
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
Which, it doesn't make no sense. Of course, Final Fantasy VII is like the baby of PlayStation. I get that, but it's just.
But it wasn't made by Sony. They don't. Why do PlayStation fans, answer me, feel they own these franchises that are not Sony's?
Well, I don't know. People think if they're nostalgic about something or they love something, that they have some ownership over it.
I would make this argument towards you about Final Fantasy. Nintendo has more say over Final Fantasy than Sony. 3,
very true.
4 if you count. 3 just for PlayStation 1 appeared on PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
6 appeared. 6 on Nintendo consoles, including in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
10 was on PlayStation 2. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, there's argument on that basis as well.
I just don't like this confusing wording. Like, just come out and say, if it's an exclusive,
just say it's a fucking exclusive.
But because they're not saying, then it must not be. I mean, we just got Kingdom Hearts 3. No other Kingdom Hearts game has appeared on an Xbox console. That's like another Sony baby. Like, we would have thought we'd ever see that on a Microsoft console.
It is true.
But because it's such a big budget game, of course they're going to make it multi-platform and make the most sales. You think they're going to spend this much money on Final Fantasy VII, split it into all these parts, and only make it an exclusive? And I'm not saying exclusive games don't sell. Many Sony games have sold extremely well because they've been exclusive. Well, I just don't believe it, and time will tell, but they're not using the wording now. But ultimately, anyway, we can probably wrap it up because we're going on, but I just think all exclusive do is line the pockets of billionaires. That's all it does, is you're giving more money to rich people, basically. It's not a benefit to you or me. The average gamer shouldn't support it, and why can't we have Mario on Xbox?
And I'll say this, I'll just add my thing. If you're sitting there going, well, I'm glad I get my exclusive game on my PlayStation or my Switch and stuff like that.
I'm sure we'll get that. Well, I own all the consoles, so it doesn't affect me. Well, congratulations, you're rich.
Yeah, not only that, is you've got more time than we fucking do.
Yeah.
There you go. Alright, thanks for watching. Check out the other videos. Hit that like and subscribe button.